this ends up being a mixture. I'll explain why in a second. But there's ends up being a whole bunch of different stuff in this one tea. But okay, so I'll just explain what happened, what I did. There's a medicine that we use for to help with addiction, like opiate addiction, amphetamines, benzos, these sorts of things, like real incredible drugs. And I had Rick, one of my friends, he was real funny. He came over and I was just learning about medicine. Like, I was just starting to visit with my grandma. I didn't really know nothing yet. And he came over and he was like, "Hey, is there plants that can help me?" Because he started to do all kinds of drugs. And he was like getting hooked. And the only thing that I knew is my grandma told me about. Oh, just one more, right? Oh, I need a couple more. Yeah, I just told him that my grandma told me about one root that you can use.
I do the same thing.
She told me about one root, and when I asked her about how you could use it, she said, "Well, there's this one plant, you use it and it just calms you down so you can make your own decision." That's how she described it. And she took 2 weeks because I asked her how you use that medicine, and she said, "We'll talk about it later, I got to think about it." And then 2 weeks later she invited us back and she said, "I want to tell you about that." And that's what she said, calms you down so you can make your own decision. So me and my wife just interpreted it as maybe this will help with addictions. So my friend, he came over and he looked real rough, but he needed help. So I gave him that root and I said, "This is what my grandma said, so try this." And I gave him a lot, like enough for, like I gave him so much. It was like weeks worth of work I gave to him. And I said, "Try this." And then he came back 2 weeks later and he wanted more. But I gave him so much, enough to last him so like more than a year, maybe even 2 years when he came back. Except I saw he had real nice shoes on, and he was selling it in Sudbury. And because he used that medicine, and he said he just stopped everything he was doing, all those different drugs that he was on. He quit cold turkey, no withdrawal symptom. So then he started telling everybody, "Try this, try this, try this." People who he knew wanted to, stop with their addiction too. And so he kept giving that away to everybody. But I think he started selling it after a while. But a whole bunch of treatment centers heard when you go to treatment centers, you go for opiate replacement therapy like methadone or Suboxone. When you stop showing up for methadone, stop showing up for Suboxone, then usually you'll end up dying. That patient will end up dying. They'll be in the obituary. They overdose. They went back to street drugs, like whatever. So in Sudbury, what happened was a whole bunch of people stopped going to their replacement therapies, the methadone and Suboxone, and they were going back to the treatment center months later, and they would pee clean, and they would tell their doctor or their worker that they quit withdrawal symptom free because they had tea. And then eventually all these guys found me from all these treatment centers. Like they have their equivalent of rounds, and then all of these treatment centers from Sudbury and the North Shore came to my house because they all found out that it was me, that I was giving this guy this plant, and that this is what it was doing. So we said, yeah, let's try. And so in clinic we started giving it to people, and it's really fun. Like it's just it's that simple, I guess. There's one plant in here in particular called Nadrana or wood betony. Wood betony is Pedicularis canadensis. I didn't see any here, but it tends to be quite common plant. There was some at Royal Botanical Gardens that we found. But this roots, you just make tea with those roots, and this is what happens. So that was like 12 years ago, and I've been just obsessed, pumping everybody with it as much as we could, getting all kinds of really cool stories, working with people with different addictions, and the story is always the same. We just leave it to the person, whatever they want. If they want to keep using, they keep using. But when you want to quit, you could stop, and it's withdrawal symptom free. Most people are scared though, and they'll go slow. They'll go down, like if they're on methadone or Suboxone, they'll go down 2 units, 2 milligrams a week, or 2 milligrams a month. Some people will go down slow, quick. I just let people make their own decision, because that's what I feel like this is doing, is, you know, so that you can make your own decision. So what I did last year is that root that we use for the addiction, it's good for so many other things too. So like it's one of my favorites for athletes. The way we describe things, the way elders will describe things, is very unusual, but the way that we describe this one is, we'll say that these roots help oxygen get into the tissue to push the energy where it needs to go. That's the way we describe it. And so a lot of the research done on this plant, you look at how it helps glucose get into skeletal muscle tissue, fatty acid transport to skeletal muscle tissue. So the transmutation of energy currency in your body to become available for the muscle. So it's really good, you know, it helps with athletes a lot, but also to help build capillary beds. So if you've never done stairs in your life, and your calves are real stiff already, you start exercising, your body has enough blood vessels inside of it. If you were to line them all, you'd be able to wrap around the body 8 times. So that's how much your heart pumps and pumps. That's the distance that fluid is traveling inside of your body. And the smallest part of your vascular system is your capillaries. They're very microscopic, very, very small. When you don't exercise, you don't really have a lot of capillaries. You don't really have a lot of those small blood vessels, because your body is not so worried about getting blood and oxygen everywhere very efficiently all the time. You usually see very extensive capillary beds in marathon runners, professional athletes. Their bodies are very concerned with getting oxygen everywhere all the time, very efficiently. And so with athletes, you see capillary beds, you see really efficient blood transportation. Somebody who sits in an office all day, not so much. Very lethargic, very slow, very non-efficient. And so when you start to have this medicine, this is what it supports, is the establishment of those capillary beds, so that you have the veins and arteries of an athlete, even though you might not, you know, sitting around all day. So you start to, this medicine helps to build those capillary beds to get all of the energy and oxygen and nutrition everywhere that it has to go very efficiently. And so there's lots of really cool research done on this plant, but how much that it helps with your blood flow, bad circulation, or however you want to describe it, this is the kind of medicine that gets the blood and energy and nutrients everywhere that it has to go. So when we make medicine, that root is always mixed with other things. Because if you want to have a kidney medicine, well, if you mix it with that Nadranak, that one that helps blood and energy and nutrition get everywhere quicker and more efficient, that means that it helps get medicine everywhere much quicker, much more efficient, and in a stable form. So you always mix that medicine with other things. And so you always see that Nadranak, that addictions medicine, is always mixed with other medicine because it helps medicine get where it needs to go. If somebody has a kidney problem, but their kidneys have bad blood flow or something, that's a bad example. But anyways, I guess it makes sense. Then the medicine's not going to get to where it needs to go. So you need to build that blood around that tissue so that you can get the medicine in. So this is the way that medicine is used. And so it ends up being mixed with a lot of different things. So in this mixture, because this is what it is, it's a mixture. There's probably like 40 different roots inside of there. But the main one is that addictions medicine. So I found a jar yesterday that I remember when I mixed it. I took that addictions medicine, that one that helps all of the blood get to where it needs to go efficiently, quickly. And that was like most of the jar. And then I put some lung medicine in there. I put some kidney medicine in there. I put some liver medicine in there. I put some medicine for your skin, for stress, stress management medicine. I put a few things in there, so that, because that's what I wanted. I made it for myself. But I know most of it is that addictions medicine. So when you drink it, that's mostly what you could taste. Is the wood betony, the one that we use for addictions. But I wanted to be able to share with everybody today. You know, we have really amazing medicines for addictions. This one probably being the most important. And then yesterday, I found that little mixture that I made. Has a bunch of extra things in there too, but the main root in there is the addictions medicine, the one that helps you make your own decision. But then we use a lot with athletes. It's mixed with a lot of medicine to help the medicine get to where it needs to go. It ends up being a really important medicine. You usually see old people. I remember